If you've been to Cloverdale recently, you've probably seen where the city's just demolished the barns at Fraser Downs, a horse racing landmark that's been there for nearly 50 years. Something much bigger is now planned for this site. We're talking about an ice complex that's already opened, a possible entertainment district, new housing, commercial, and retail spaces. It's all part of a huge master plan that still hasn't been fully revealed. I've been working in this area for over 23 years, and this could end up being one of the biggest changes Cloverdale has ever seen. So let's dive in. For nearly 50 years, Fraser Downs was a major part of Surrey and a well-known spot in the community. A lot of people built their careers and daily routines around the racetrack, including trainers, groomers, owners, and vets. And then in 2025, it was all gone in under 5 months. Fraser Downs, originally Cloverdale Raceway, opened back in 1976. After a major renovation in 1996, the grandstands were modernized and a casino was added and the track rebranded. Another major update came in 2015, turning the casino side into Elements Casino Surrey, which is still operating today, and that part isn't going anywhere. But the track itself, the backstretch, the barns full of horses, trainers and groomers, well, that's where things have changed. For half a century, Fraser Downs was the only standard-bred harness racing track in BC, and it was the heart of the harness racing community here. Around 218 members of Harness Racing BC called this place home, and between 75 to 100 seasonal workers relied on it every year. Then on August 15th, 2025, just 3 weeks before the fall racing season, Surrey ended the racecourse agreement. The announcement shocked everyone in the industry. Now, this wasn't completely out of the blue. Earlier in 2025, Great Canadian Entertainment, which ran Fraser Downs, gave Harness Racing BC an 8-week notice to vacate the barns due to a rat infestation. But when HRBC tried to negotiate, things fell apart. By August, the lease was terminated and people in the industry knew something was coming. They just didn't know exactly when. The community reacted fast. The Cloverdale District Chamber of Commerce issued a statement and former Mayor Doug McCallum criticized the decision. Horse owners asked the provincial government to step in. Rallies, petitions, it was loud, and yet the demolition started anyways. By late September, the barns were coming down. CBC had cameras on site, and by December 18th, 2025, all 6 barns were gone. The last harness races at Fraser Downs were held in May 2025, and no one knew that they'd be the last ones. And what this change is doing to the real estate market around the fairgrounds is something I'm showing in detail later, so keep watching. Now, I want to take a moment here because this is important. Mayor Brenda Locke's goal for Cloverdale has been to preserve the old Cloverdale as a historic precinct. But the city just took down a nearly 50-year-old racing institution that many locals considered part of that heritage. In a lot of ways, harness racing was Cloverdale. Now, what was lost is concerning, but what's coming up is what we need to pay attention to. So what's the city planning for this space? Let's dive in. But first, if you're living near Cloverdale, thinking about buying in this area before the master plan drops, or just want to chat about what all this means to you, reach out. With over 23 years in this market, you'll be in very good hands. Now, let's keep going. When the city terminated the lease, the goal was to redevelop one of the most important pieces of publicly owned land in eastern Surrey. And the plans for what could replace it go far beyond what most people have heard so far. The Cloverdale Fairgrounds spans 138 acres, and the racetrack and backstretch occupies just over 12 of those acres right in the southern part of the site. Reclaiming that land was the first step in something much larger, releasing it to build the internal road grid, utilities, and sites for recreation and cultural use. The goal is to transform the Cloverdale Fairgrounds into a regional destination. More than just a neighborhood amenity and a strip of condos, a place that draws people from all over Surrey and beyond. City staff have been clear about this. The Fairgrounds Special Study Area could include an entertainment district, new housing, commercial, and retail spaces, all tied to Mayor Locke's vision for the area. And one of the biggest parts of Cloverdale's transformation, not right on this site, but very close by, is the new Surrey Hospital and BC Cancer Center. You've got to check this out. It's massive. This is a $2.9 billion project, one of the largest healthcare construction projects ever in BC history. Construction began in September 2023, and by early May 2026, the building had reached its level 5 concrete pour halfway to full height. It's on track for an opening around 2030. And if you're thinking about living near this thing, you want to know what's inside. A 24/7 emergency department with 55 treatment spaces, 5 smart operating rooms, an integrated BC Cancer Center, the first of its kind in a community hospital in BC. This means 105 outpatient oncology visits per year, 22,000 chemo treatments, and 50,000 radiation therapy visits. Plus, it's one of the first fully electric hospitals in Canada. The Kwantlen Polytechnic University connection is key too. KPU has already partnered with Ellis Don, the hospital's builder, to train construction workers right across the street. When that hospital opens, the campus next door becomes a direct pipeline for healthcare education programs in the area. Now, as for the Cloverdale market right now, with everything being built here, what buyers are finding may surprise you, and I'll be breaking that down in a bit, so stick around. Now, one major part of this vision for the Fraser Downs site is already finished and open. The Cloverdale Sport and Ice Complex at 6090 176th Street opened in October of 2025. It's 95,000 square feet, cost around $133 million, and features 2 NHL-sized rinks with seating for up to 400 spectators per rink. And it's already expanding, by the way. Surrey Council has awarded the contract for a third sheet of ice, a 48,500 square foot addition with a new rink, change rooms, a physiotherapy room, community room, multi-purpose spaces, and more. This new arena will also be home to a junior hockey team, providing another entertainment option for the area. This new arena is set to be completed in early 2027. Now, if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you've probably seen the video we did there about a month ago, where I walked through the arena, talked with the manager, and did a tour of the facility. Now, one thing we talked about was the Fraser Downs site, and he didn't want to start any rumors, but he mentioned some exciting ideas that he'd heard for the broader fairgrounds area. Think restaurants, bars, and lots more. And when you combine that with what the city staff have said about a mixed-use development anchored by the hospital and KPU campus, you start to get a clearer picture. Cloverdale is being redeveloped and repositioned. In early 2024, Mayor Locke announced her vision for 2 entertainment districts in Surrey, one in the Surrey City Centre and one in Cloverdale. The city center version already got approval in October of 2025 for a $200 million, 10,000 seat sports and entertainment complex with a hotel, conference facilities, restaurants, retail, and residential units. That's the city center play. The Fairgrounds Special Study is where the Cloverdale version takes shape, but the master plan for this area hasn't been released yet. The vision is compelling, but a vision without a timeline is just a drawing on a city hall slide deck. So let's talk about where things stand, because some parts are already locked in and moving, while others are still very much up in the air. So how real is any of this, and how soon is it going to happen? I know that's what most of you are probably thinking. The honest answer is it depends on which planning process you're talking about. There are 2 happening at the same time. The first one is the Cloverdale Town Center Plan update. Surrey's been working on updating its 2019 plan, and in July 2024, Council approved a big expansion to the plan boundary, bringing the entire Cloverdale Fairgrounds into the town center planning area for the first time. Then there's the second process, the Fairgrounds Special Study Area, and this is the one you want to keep an eye on. The fairgrounds are being treated as their own independent planning process with a separate master plan and market feasibility study, distinct from the broader town center plan. So what does that mean for anyone watching this, especially if you're thinking about the market? The special study is where the real details are. We're talking about unit counts, building heights, land use designations, internal road layouts, and the full vision for what's going to fill those 12 plus acres. But that master plan hasn't been released yet. And when it does drop, that's when the market will start to react. That being said, even without the full master plan, some key pieces are already in motion. Phase 1 is pretty much done. The Racetrack lease has been terminated, the site's cleared, and demolition wrapped up in December 2025, and the internal road grid and utilities are being designed. Phase 2, which is where we are now, is the active planning phase. This is running alongside the construction of the hospital and the ice complex expansion. And Phase 3 is the broader mixed-use build-out, housing, and entertainment district that comes once the master plan is finalized and the hospital gets closer to opening. Now, I want to be straight with you about what's still up in the air. The exact housing unit count is not locked in yet, and the building heights, zoning within the fairgrounds are still up in the air. Whether a big concert venue or arena scale facility ends up in Cloverdale or just a city center is still being figured out. And I'll tell you, from over 23 years of experience, that's where the real opportunity lies in real estate. Not after the master plan's released, when everyone's already priced it in, but before. The foundational moves have been made. But to understand what they mean, you've got to see what Cloverdale is. Surrey is one of BC's fastest growing cities, on track to hit around 1 million residents. With everything happening at the fairgrounds, Cloverdale is becoming a much bigger part of Surrey's future growth. Right now, the real estate market here is still catching up with all these changes. The Fraser Valley entered spring 2026 in buyer's market territory, with inventory sitting well above the seasonal average. But April 2026 marked the first year-over-year sales increase in over a year, and the benchmark price has ticked up ever so slightly 2 months in a row. There might be a floor forming here. For Cloverdale specifically, detached homes are sitting around the low to mid 1.3 millions, with prices varying on size, lot, and age. Townhomes somewhere in the mid 700s, and condos are generally in the high 400s to low 500s. And the long-term potential in this area is only getting stronger. You can't find 138 acres of publicly owned land close to a huge new hospital anywhere else in Metro Vancouver. Now, the fairgrounds is still earlier in that curve. The window for potential upside is open. If you're a family looking to plant roots in Surrey, Cloverdale checks a lot of boxes right now that you might not have caught on to yet. In just a few years, you'll have one of the most significant healthcare and civic campuses in southern BC right in your backyard. The infrastructure is in place, the land is cleared, and the market hasn't fully factored in any of this yet. It's rare to see this much publicly owned land being redeveloped, especially in an established neighborhood that already has this much character. And for a lot of buyers and investors, that's what makes this moment so interesting. So if you're thinking about buying in or around Cloverdale before the fairgrounds special study drops, shoot us an email today at info@moteam.ca. We can walk you through where the opportunity sits right now. And if you want to see what's already open and already bringing people to Cloverdale, I went inside the new Sport and Ice complex for a full tour. And that video is linked right here. Hey, thanks for watching. We'll see you again in the next one.